Yub skib. We've got the strumping up. Everything should be good. We would have gotten started sooner. Would have happened, but sort of.
Some people have no respect and they don't show up when they say they're going to, so we end up waiting around for them.
Well, or just like, because the thing today there was a lot of stuff to sort of nail down about this subject. This is one of those things where, because of the nature of it and the fact that so much of it is happening all at once, there's like a shit ton of things that just are less known than they otherwise could be. And that's one of the things that I'll be starting with. But let's start with a quick somebody say sounds.
Sounds.
I have to say the pre-show nailing session took a while, so that's why we're all late.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We start talk. Libertarians just won't shut the fuck up, and that's based.
So DOGE.
Let us get going. This should be a fairly good conversation, I think. We're gonna cap this to about 90 minutes because it's already like on the East Coast. This is gonna keep them up past 12. So we're doing this for you. So with all that being said, I'm gonna share this on Twitter and Facebook and various other places, and we can get basically going. Now, we'll start with some brief introductions. People who've watched this channel for a while know who these people are, but it's valuable to start on those grounds for some people who aren't. Also, I've just noticed that I'm a rectangle right now, so I'm going to fix that by making myself a different kind of rectangle. There we go.
Wait, is there an option like for?
So. The thing,
on this channel, you're always a rectangle.
So the thing is, like it depends on how the things are structured. What you do if you want your feed to be further up, closer in, you say fit and crop video, and like that, then it'll make you fill the thing. So like before, I was like a rectangle with gray bars above and below. Now I'm a giant face. And because one of my bulbs is out on my overhead light, I'm also a floating head in a void. So that's
the thing. You always wear like a black long sleeve shirt. So you just appear as a floating head because you blend in with like the curtains behind you and everything.
And it's worse right now because even with the obnoxious ring light in front of me, I'm like, and it'd be so much worse if I was also like. Now I'm just gone.
Well, now you're just a black void that we're talking to.
Hello. We're here from the Demonic Anarchist Federation. So yeah, that's not gonna happen today. I've got to at least have this. I'll get a new bulb soon. But it's like one of the last things on my list of priorities. With all that being said, this is here. I'm gonna copy the link. And share it in my Discord. Let us get going with that. So, introductions for the people who are here new to the channel and have not met you.
All right. Well, I'm Kareem. You can find me on Twitter at Kareem6633X, whatever the heck it is now. And I also have a small site, Anarch Unity. We'll be writing for that again. Check out Keith Preston's work at Attack the System. Check out Agorist Nexus. Brandon, he has the Agorist ALN, Agorist Leader Network, if you want to step up for that. If you're an agorist who wants to inform and educate people about that. And I'm also part of Mad Liberty, which is an Anarchist Unity Discord server. You can find me at the Essential Libertarians. I did a long podcast with Re-Education Aaron about the importance of how syndicalism can be adapted to a technological framework. So that's who I am.
And I am Rose, your patron saint of real libertarians. Been a libertarian most of my life, also a part-time big L libertarian, though that's become more and more all-encompassing, so I'd say I'm more of a full-time big L libertarian now. Member of the Libertarian Party of New York State Committee, various other subcommittees. We recently started our own podcast. It's called The Liberty Test. You can find that on the official Libertarian Party of New York YouTube channel. You can also find me on X at Saint of Liberty, and you can find me on Facebook.
I like how you're calling it X, like it's you know, Elon.
Okay. I try to keep calling it Twitter because I'm trying to not call it X. The whole thing is so stupid. But here's the thing. It's so annoying having to write out the word Twitter when you could just type X. Like, well, it's entirely deliberate too. But so I don't want to give Elon that satisfaction of like just settling for calling it X because it's easier to write than writing Twitter. But writing out the name Twitter is so annoying because, yeah, my phone does not like it doesn't do the predictive text for the word Twitter anymore, which I'm sure they were paid to not do. But
well, that's part of the fun is I don't fucking use a phone for the vast majority of my communications. I hate phones. I hate technology. I think shit is bad, and I want to fucking destroy shit. I don't want to enable it at all. So when like the vast majority of my shit is just on a computer, and while X is still shorter, I can type Twitter in like a fraction of a second. It's not hard. So like it's one of those things. Like I hate AI so much that when I cut it out of my life, I intentionally did typing exercises so that I could understand typing better, and so that I could have a very similar workflow speed without using voice recognition. Because I hate AI. I hate it all. So for me, for my money, I prefer like typing Twitter, because to me it's sort of like an active act of resistance to type the thing that's longer and takes longer to type than to type the AI overlord's secret phrase. So
I didn't know there were AI overlords.
Yeah, he's an overlord.
Sam Altman must
he's
be
an overlord. He's going to have a bunch of AI minions, I think, is what you're getting at there.
I mean, partially, but he doesn't even need minions in like the thing is, like, he's already an overlord and he likes AI. He uses AI as his primary mode of communication, and supporting his like bullshit positions. So as far as I'm concerned, like the general shit here is like he wants to be an overlord, so I'm just going to cut to the chase and call him one. And if he proves me wrong, then that'll be awesome. But he's not proving us wrong, as this stream will say. So let's start with that. Let's start with...
Yeah, I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong and have DOGE actually be a good thing that I can happily celebrate. I just don't think it is. So,
right.
Yeah.
I would...
Prove us wrong, please.
Yeah, I'd like DOGE to... Okay, if you could actually make governments work in the way that... To me, the reason I like libertarian socialism outside of the value extraction is the way there's actually a dude who explained it in a really good way. It said, okay, nobody gets mad that I know of in the middle of winter now when you go outside and it's snowing and the plow's there. You're like, yay. No one gets mad to me. I don't see any songs that say F the fire department. Maybe there is. But if someone's making that, I question why. Or like F the garbage man.
Actually, there is a song called Fuck the Fire Department. Also, why are you saying F? This isn't fucking TikTok.
I don't know why. Because someone said fuck the fire. There's no songs called.
What was the other one that you mentioned?
There actually is a song called Fuck the Fire Department. But what it is it's a song about an alternate universe where the fire department is a department from the government that goes around and sets fires.
Oh,
okay. Well, yeah, that would be bad. But
Ray Bradbury's book, yeah.
But to me, the actual DOGE, and the way I like this described is libertarian socialists are realistic and say, okay, people have powers. So how can we and same with the agris. How can we limit stuff like this? And the real way to do it is that you have people come together, like a county government, and then decide, hey, I want to have this service or that service, and then establish consensus, vote on, and put it in. That way, to me, as opposed to making it a contradictory term, libertarian socialists want to minimize coercion and maximize the, I guess you want to call them the services or the things that government does that you do need that it does well, without an overarching state to do it. And to me, that's DOGE. Now, there are some I don't care for the Department of Education. I don't care for the Pentagon. I don't care for some of the things that they were doing with USAID. Although some things I would question are, well, yes, he gets subsidies from the government himself. So why doesn't he cut those? He's definitely rich enough. It's not going to. So get rid of your own subsidies. Like, I get it. No one's saying the Democrats are like, ooh, the Democrats are good people. They're not. But get rid of your own subsidies. Say, I don't need subsidies anymore. I'll figure this out. There's also the question of, I'm not really good with COBOL, and some people have been saying there's been issues with COBOL. The problem is I don't know, and I don't want to say on this stream if they said like some people who were like 150, getting what was it, Social Security, I think. And I think there were some like programming issues, so I'm not 100% sure because I can't be of what they're finding. Now it's kind of a weird position because I don't trust the bureaucracy, and I don't think it should exist. And to me, the only way to fight it is really creating these, local governments parallels and stuff. But at the same time, I think they have ulterior motives that they're not saying as well. And that's what some conservatives need to come into is like, is everybody just doing everything altruistically? And we know from Stirner, and we know from even Ayn Rand, and I'm not a fan of Ayn Rand for a lot of reasons, but we know people, even if they act completely altruistically, they're doing it for self-satisfaction. Oh, I feel good. So it's a good feeling they'll get. Oh, I'm doing this to get to heaven. I'm doing this to get approval from a spiritual force. So even the ultimate altruist is a conscious egoist. So is there a bigger picture that we're not seeing where, yeah, the Democrats and the bureaucracy are bad, but there's also self-interest aligned with some of what they're doing. Particularly, I don't know if some of the departments were investigating him and he's going after select departments.
Right.
Also, the big question that Robert Houston asked, well, why isn't DOGE looking at the money going to Israel? Okay, Zelensky's a dictator. I agree. He's not good. Doesn't believe in democracy. And Russia also not good. None of those places I am particularly, fond of their government. I'm not a Putin fan. I'm not a Malay fan. There's not really a world leader I like. But you got to ask, okay, fine. These checks and the increased aid, or not increased, but the aid to Israel. Why isn't that
it's
being
increased? That's the thing.
I think you just basically gave the layout for every single thing I think we have planned to talk about this evening.
So and there's
I did because I need to cover it.
Thank you for giving the table.
All right, we're done. I did DOGE.
Yeah, right.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Stream's over, everyone.
So the thing, there's quite a bit more, and the thing is, the first thing that I can sort of get at, and I'll make my response brief, because I want Rose to have some airtime here as well.
Oh no, go ahead, because I think I totally interrupted you earlier, so go ahead.
So the general few responses. The first thing is the people who are still getting Social Security after they're dead was found in 2024 and already being corrected. That was already a thing, and so his audit found what had already been found and that they had already planned on working on. And so it didn't actually solve any problems. It took Biden's work, Biden's administration's work, if you want to call it Biden's work, and said, now it's Trump's work. Now Trump did that. And the same thing can be said for, like, there was this, this discrepancy between, if you want to say that we're getting rid of all of these jobs, cutting government bloat, you can't do that at the same time as fucking unlimited jobs in Gaza. You can't do that at the same time as fucking all of these jobs for the border troops and for bombing Mexico. You can't do all of that at the same time. So it's a lie. It's dishonest. Trump has manifest plans to expand the empire to Greenland and Canada and Mexico and, Gaza and so many other places. And to tell me that this means that, like, fucking the jobs will be cut, where, when, and to put it in a very specific way, if Elon Musk really cared about wasteful fucking bullshit projects giving their money back, he would be refunding everyone for Hyperloop. He's not doing that. He was given massive government contract money for Hyperloop. He would also give back all of the government money that had been, going to fucking SpaceX for all of his, rapid unscheduled disassemblies. Also, I think we're frozen. Let me see if
I'm frozen. No.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Is it gonna be one of those streams where we find out like 30 minutes in that we haven't actually been streaming?
Well, we've been streaming, but for some reason the Skype window isn't being picked up as moving. That's actually fucking hilarious. Let me.
Is it at least a decent still of us?
Yeah, here we go. I fixed it. It was
okay.
It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. I wonder when that started. I'm gonna keep it muted and check. It looks like we were frozen for a bit there. That's unfortunate. Shit. Whatever. Shit happens.
Not, like,
it happens.
Or something.
There's also the fact I find funny. This is not an endorsement of Trudeau or Claudia, because in my opinion, Trudeau is a neoliberal with almost virtually no policy or bad policy. Freezing people's bank accounts is completely totalitarian. And Claudia of Mexico, to my knowledge, is more of a Marxist. I don't really align with that either from last night's discussion. That being said, Greg Reese made a good point. And it's interesting. Everybody's saying DOGE, but they're also saying, yeah, stick it to Canada. Yeah, let's get Denmark. Let's get Greenland. Even if those things don't happen, I actually thought, well, why would he do that? And it's, in my opinion, there's different elites with competing interests. People think the elites are just, all in a room with black hoods and, controlling stuff. No, there's the Koch brothers on one side, Soros, and there's different competing interests among elites. But what I would think is, if I was an international banker, and borders really don't affect me, I'm not like stuck to national. I'm a banker, or I'm somebody who has wealth that spans across the globe, which is possible, and I'm still a globalist. What would I do? Well, I would get people who are so-called nationalists, like, well, Putin's getting everybody in BRICS, and so is she, so that's convenient. And then you have the EU, which is a mess. I don't care if, there's no party in the EU I like, except George Galloway is okay. I don't share his views on certain things, but the Workers' Party of Britain's cool. But we have the EU, then we have America. Okay, Canada's a state. Okay, we have parts of Mexico. Okay, we have Greenland, Denmark. If I wanted to control things, I just put everybody in 3 separate unions. There, I have a new world order. That's what Greg Reese was saying. They said if Elon says, or if you question it, Elon saying, no. So how does DOGE exactly correlate with getting more territories? That expands federal jurisdiction. Even if it is a territory,
right,
that's still more paperwork, more administrative BS. Okay, let's see what the Greenlands are doing. Okay, the weather sucks there. Let's create a department for the weather sucks in Greenland. How can we make it better? Let's use HARP. Like, no. Come on, it's MAGA. So to me, yeah, I can say like, okay, I think some good things are going on, but I'm not going to be, but also on the same time too, I'm thinking, what's kind of the overall plan with this? Because to me, the elites, the way they play it is people like Peter Thiel, they give you a little bit of what you want. All right, here's a little bit of cut of government waste, get rid of some of these departments. Okay, RFK saying some things on health, stuff like that. Let's get rid of chemtrails. Good. But then, what's their overall goal? And I'm not saying Peter Thiel is controlling all these people, but the more and more I look into it, I'm like, is there a right-wing oligarch behind all this stuff too? And everybody looks at Elon Musk and maybe he's like the front man, but maybe, is it possible Peter Thiel is playing the strings behind all of this for the AI superstate or the surveillance superstate, along with Larry Ellison and Sam Altman?
Well,
there are multiple puppet masters, I'm sure, all vying for control and for their own interests. Like, so here's the thing about DOGE. Like, okay, most people are, unless you're living under a complete rock, most people are well aware that the money that's being taken out of their paychecks every 2 weeks is not actually going to what the government claims it's going to, okay? It's not going to just building roads and providing you with your Social Security benefits. It is, in fact, being wasted. I think most people are well aware that there are probably large amounts of fraud and misuse within the government. Sure, most political normies are going to just assume that, oh, well, I'm voting for the right people. It's the other party who's responsible for all of this fraud and waste, but most people are aware that this exists. So, like the DOGE claiming that it's uncovering all this fraud and abuse, I don't think it's really coming as much of a surprise to anyone. Like, we all knew that, like, these departments that they're supposedly auditing, like, that there probably are huge amounts of money that are just being wasted on bullshit jobs or that have just gone missing with no real paper trail. But what's been interesting to watch with this whole thing is that, like, the corporate news, rather than trying to save face and saying, oh, well, okay, yeah, they found all this waste, but okay, there's an explanation for that. It was such and such administration, or it was the other party that did this. Like, they're in full scale, like, damage control mode and trying to convince people that no, uncovering fraud and firing government employees is bad. And this is why we're going to have to try to convince you that, okay, even though you know that your tax dollars are being wasted on all this waste and all these bullshit government jobs, no, we have to convince you that actually cutting government jobs and cutting government spending is bad. Like, it's been very interesting to watch. Like, okay, and I'm not going to lie, like, it has been, yeah, like, it's been enjoyable seeing the corporate media meltdown over lost jobs, like over lost government jobs. However, I'm of course waiting for the other shoe to drop because, yeah, is it really being done for the right reasons? Probably not. Like,
yeah, and
this is the new regime coming into power. Of course, they're going to cut spending from certain departments. They're going to cut government programs that don't benefit them. But until I see money not coming out of my paycheck, until I see the state not controlling every single aspect of my personal life, like, I'm not just going to sit there clapping because some government employees got fired. Like, this is not, as of yet, having any measurable impact on my life. Like, it's not benefiting me as of yet. So
yeah,
people, I think, are celebrating a bit too quickly.
and like,
Yeah,
just
especially.
as to that real quick, because Kareem, you brought up Peter Thiel. I wrote this tweet. He's on the Bilderberg Steering Committee. That's something that all these, anti-globalist, like,
InfoWars pill like MAGA Republicans should remember. He brought up the Bilderberg Group, and the steering committee should be something that you're always critical of, and you should be looking into why Peter Thiel is not a good guy. He's not on our side. He's with the globalists. He's with the New World Order technocrats, and he's also affiliated with Palantir, which is a CIA and NSA spying apparatus. He's also a funder of OpenAI, Meta, SpaceX, Neuralink, and the Boring Company. He built some of Trump's cabinet. He owns J.D. Vance. He bankrolled Elon Musk and the buying of Twitter. You're being steered by globalist technocrats.
That's what they would say if they weren't meaningless sellouts.
So they are, though. So what are they saying? Because like, there are a bunch of factions that are opposed to these people, but they're not. They also, but they're angry at them for the wrong reasons.
Well,
and just to clear up the confusion in chat, I was trying to do an Alex Jones. If I was doing RFK, I would be doing this voice where it's very chopped down and bring it in like this.
Well, it's your fault for not mentioning gay frogs.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought saying
I'm
like
fighting the globalists.
I thought saying like
Globalists, like bringing it all the way down here and talking about InfoWars would be the thing that would tip that off. But
Are you fighting me? I'm fighting the info war.
also RFK isn't from the South, if I understand correctly. So I think that's another tell is that I was not using this accent where it's like all the way up here and very nasally and very Ivy League kind of bullshit white boy kind of mentality.
I was down here and using a southern accent and being InfoWars.
Yeah. Anyway.
Are you fighting the info war? But here's the funny thing to me. There's always two sides to this. Like I said, that's why I'm always skeptical when people get mad. And they're like, why do you question stuff? Because nobody, even if they're acting truly altruistic, even altruistic people have an ulterior motive. Even if that's to feel good, even if you are Gandhi, like pick the best, most selfless person you know. Now, I don't think these people are that. I think they're very far from that. Also, I am skeptical because Elon made, I think, about $120 billion during 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So did a lot of these other people. And it's interesting to see people like shocked. They're like, Zuckerberg became based and he became cool. And I'm like, he wanted subsidies, so he's kind of playing the...
He grew his hair out and started doing MMA, so how can we not be based?
Yeah, he's based. Oh, my bad. Zuckerberg's a libertarian. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, he's a libertarian now, too.
Yeah, and that's why people are still getting mass censored.
What's up with they were supposed to have community notes or something, but I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen that.
People getting banned for bullshit reasons.
Not only that, but they're like Elon Musk is specifically calling out community notes as having been, quote, infiltrated by government actors, and, quote, he's working on it, which is fucking hilarious and
he is the government.
Yeah, well, and it's incredibly hilarious because no, in fact, it's not infiltrated by government actors just because they disagree with you. That's not how this works.
Infiltrated by people like you.
Yeah.
You're a community notes person.
So it's like he's curbing community notes on the actual native app. And if anybody follows this model, they'll eventually just purge the people involved in community notes that are inconvenient to their fucking shit. Which is exactly what, is happening on Twitter. So, like, it's not a good thing. But, like, let's talk about some specifics. Like, for instance, there was a DOGE program that was, like, manifestly... a DOGE cancellation that was manifestly dishonest. And it was so dishonest that the report found $8 billion that they allegedly cut from the budget, which would be fucking awesome if it were $8 billion and not $8 million, and they just missed the zero placement. It would be, and this is the kind of thing, like, some of Trump's executive orders had the same kind of formatting errors that some AI outputs would say that it would have. And, like, the DOGE, thing is affiliated with a massive AI whore. So it wouldn't surprise me, and like multiple other people, if Trump was using, like through DOGE, AI to scan all of this information because they don't understand it, they don't know how to parse it, it's not doing anything for them. So like what they very probably did is cut it, like through AI. They cut their actual responsibilities and didn't double check the cuts. So like Momentum Chaser was the first person I saw to unearth this information. And Momentum Chaser at Electric Futures on the interwebs said like did a sort of search, and quote, the single biggest ticket item is a DHS contract listed as saving $8 billion. Wow, that's a huge contract. No, actually, it's 8 million. They must have tried to automate scraping from the FPDS forum and failed. That means we're down to 8.5 billion total in savings, which is down from the 55 billion, right? The first thing I did, I'll read this in order. The first thing I did is add up the saved column for all canceled contracts in real estate. The numbers are 16.5 billion and 0.14 billion respectively. Odd, since almost all of the purported savings come from contracts. We'll focus on that. So it's basically like, you know, the actual numbers for actual things that have actually been saved already were already lower than the total that was told to people. And then after that, like, because part of that was like projections and part of that was like fucking essentially bullshit. And then like after that, the biggest ticket item that like made up half of the money that was allegedly being saved was a lie. It wasn't 8 billion, it was 8 million, which makes it look so much fucking smaller because of, you know, how much smaller 8 million is than 8 billion is. That sounds like a Philomena Kunk line, if any of you are familiar, but she would just be like, you can tell that $8 million is smaller than $8 billion because it is.
So they haven't actually made much of a dent in the national debt, is what you're telling me?
No.
Disappointing, but not unexpected.
And like when I went over this the other day, somebody, I'm not gonna say who, I respect this guy for a variety of reasons, and I'm not trying to throw him under the fucking bus. But like when this guy brought this stuff up, he brought up, you know, well, isn't it great that he's eliminating 275,000 federal employees out of a total of 2 million. And so I asked him for a source. The source he gave said that 75,000 accepted his buyout offer and that 200,000 probationary employees are slated to be terminated. And when I actually read the source, it said exactly nothing of the 200,000 being fired, just that there are 200,000 of them. It says the state is targeting them because they're easier to fire and have no employment guaranteed. Additionally, federal government actually employs 3 million, 1.9% of the total workforce, according to Pew. And so this person replies, whatever the exact numbers, it seems like they want to fire as many government employees as possible while placing a hiring freeze. Seems like a good idea to me. And I'm like, well, the Trump administration has actually fired 10,000 people, not 200,000, 0.3% of the federal government. This ain't even touching the most entrenched examples of waste either. It's only talking about the most recent, most low-hanging fruit. Being recently hired ain't a meaningful mark of waste.
It's just funny because the corporate media is trying to make us feel sorry for them by being like, oh, but all the remaining ones are terrified that they're going to lose their cushy government jobs that probably don't need to exist. Like, because I agree with you, yeah. The actual upper-level bureaucrats that are actually making our lives difficult are probably not at risk. But
yeah.
It's just funny how the spin is never going to stop being funny.
They're protected by the civil service after I think it's 2 years. And so all these probationary employees prior to that 2 years are basically still in the job interview phase. And so, like, and then I said, this is why I asked for the source. I knew there wasn't one. I've tracked and researched my take. I'm anarchist. I want the state gone. This ain't the way to do it. And I won't buy propaganda that makes government appear better than it is. For instance, and I went to this other post where I disproved Eric Doherty. Fuck you, Eric. Who said that just in, Elon Musk's DOGE has saved American taxpayers its first $100 billion of the Trump administration. It took 27 days. And you know what he was citing? A fucking debt clock ticker that the dick suckers at Debt Clock fucking like put on their fucking debt clock site. I like that resource. Let me tell you, it's a good resource. But now that they're putting this here, holy shit, is it asinine? Because their Doge clock is a clock.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Is a clock of like projected savings. It's not a clock of like what they're actually saving us now.
Right. It's like, yeah, I'm cutting 100 calories from my diet for the next over the next 5 years, so therefore I've already lost 50 pounds. Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, that's my problem with a lot of this stuff is...
Yeah, I can only imagine who you were talking to in that exchange, but yeah, like, again, like, until I start seeing less money coming out of my paychecks, I'm not going to start celebrating, because what exactly are they doing for me? Like, they're cutting funding from some parts of the state, and then they're probably just going to redirect it to programs that they personally want. This is what always happens.
Yeah. Alex Tibbetts, by the way, says, in chat says, I think actually expenditures have increased since the inauguration. Yes, they have. They absolutely have. And
that's not surprising.
And like, I finished out that part of the thread by talking about this video. I'm going to play this, like, you know, fucking 36-second video here. And I'm going, it's y'all can't hear it, unfortunately. It's janky setup, but I'm going to play this video.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
So Trump is going to build an unlimited number of jobs and an unlimited amount of housing for Gaza. You know how LA just burnt? You know how like Detroit is underwater right now because of an exploded main due to extreme cold weather? You know how
and they're going to rebuild. They're going to build rentals and they're going to build hotels and
yeah. And you know how like South Carolina was still fucked because of the admittedly subpar Biden response. You know how parts of the deep South, you know, are fucking still rocked by hurricanes for like Florida to Texas to all these places. Yeah, let's build Gaza. Yeah, fucking awesome. We don't rebuild the places here and help these people with their economic development. There's an unlimited number of jobs for Gaza, though. And it's like, it's asinine. It's not real. The Department of Government Efficiency is not making cuts where it counts. They're not helping us with what their jobs programs are. They're helping literally Israel. They're helping them cement their fucking Zionism over there and doing an ethnic cleansing of the native Palestinians. It's asinine. And there are some people in libertarian circles who believe that Israel should simply be given Gaza and that this is totally fine. Those people are blood-soaked Zionist, authoritarian, fascist monsters, and I hope they lose
Zionism
everything.
is fundamentally incompatible with libertarianism. So, yeah if you're a libertarian and you claim to be a Zionist, please go fuck yourself. You're not a libertarian.
Well, yeah.
That is a hard line for me, okay? The two ideologies are fundamentally incompatible. So you've either got some serious cognitive dissonance going on, which, yeah, I mean, there are some otherwise respected libertarian theorists that had that happen, like Walter Block, for example, where I respected him. He spent his entire life doing all these libertarian cognitive exercises, trying to answer all the difficult questions, only to have like, as soon as Israel comes up, he seemingly would throw every single libertarian principle he spent his entire life developing out the window. So yeah, it does happen. However, as I was saying, you either got some serious cognitive dissonance going on, or you're just being straight up deliberately dishonest. Either way, fuck off, you're not a libertarian.
Yeah, it's like Bill Weld. People were arguing. Well, Bill Weld's not, and people have argued with me like different stuff, and I'm willing to have some points that are kind of up in the air with libertarianism. Like some people say, well, abortion's a tough one because you're like, oh, but you're terminating a life, but there's freedom of choice. So like that one
gets self-ownership as the fundamental, or the self-ownership is the starting principle.
Correct. There's some people who also say, and I can agree, like, if someone gets you closer to something, like, don't, like, if you have a governor that gets rid of property tax and gets rid of sales tax, or gets rid of state tax but doesn't get rid of sales
avoid
tax.
security spirals.
I would be like, oh my god, there's 0.5 sales tax, like, throw a window through the chip. Like, okay, that's still kind of libertarian, like, cool. And there's other stuff, I could argue that's libertarian or not, like, okay, if you're an employer, or if you're not, or if you're a co-op, or an employer, or just and you want to drug test people because you don't want people to, like, man equipment while being high. I get that, even if drugs are, and I think drugs can be completely legal, but there's certain things where I'm like, okay, there's some wiggle room. There's not any wiggle room if you're like, I'm a libertarian and I'm pro-war, pro-Zionism, pro-Nazism, like, if you're really ableist and you're just going after people, like, in a bad way, sexism, racism, all that stuff, that just can't work. That's why I kind of, like, make the breaking line of, like, okay, somebody will say someone's bad, and I'm like, have they done any of the above? Like, no, we disagree on this. I'm like, okay, fine, but until they're doing some bad shit, I'm not gonna lose my mind over it.
Yeah. But, like, that's the thing, like, DOGE claims to be a libertarian organization. DOGE, did I miss my answer? I don't actually know which thing you're asking. Oh, what's the move? I don't actually know what thing you were asking. Feel free to re-ask that. I will answer it to the best of my ability. But, like, DOGE claims to be a shit, I think I just fucked something. One moment. DOGE claims to be a libertarian organization. It claims to be doing the right thing. But it's not. It's literally doing the opposite of the right thing. It's running cover. It's a propaganda arm for the spending establishment. And it's making it seem like it's doing awesome work. And let me just... It's so bad. And it's gotten to such a poor degree that when DOGE is, like, bet on Polymarket, when DOGE is bet on with reference to, like, whether or not they're going to do certain things, Polymarket literally had to change their policies because their policies were, like, inefficient. They were inadequate to address whether or not DOGE was lying. I'm going to read something real quick here. This is from Protos.com. Polymarket says it's no longer taking bets on whether Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency will cut $3 billion worth of DEI contracts by the end of February, and its own data tracker is too unreliable. The market asked, quote, will DOGE cut $3 billion of DEI contracts before March? And at a volume of 16.352, its outcome was based on data collected by Doge Tracker, Polymarket's site launched this month. However, Polymarket canceled the market because the underlying data used for this market's resolution source, DogeTracker.com, changed. It said, this market will resolve to 50-50, all losses will be refunded. Because they realized they couldn't actually prove when the time came that the fucking shit actually happened.
Well, I mean, a lot of these DEI programs, you have to prove that they are DEI because they're going to bill themselves as something different. Like, they're not going to be labeled DEI program. So,
Yeah.
is that part of the issue? Or am I missing something here?
Well, it's partly that, and it's also partly just the fact that they can't prove that they're cutting anything.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, because you were saying, yeah, this is being treated as if it's a libertarian program. So I guess here's what's getting me the most, because I feel like so many people in libertarian circles are so desperate to feel like they've gotten some kind of win that they really want to believe that DOGE is what it claims to be, that it's actually cutting the size and scope of government and it's going to save us money. Here's what's the most concerning, because a lot of libertarians in my friend groups, they've gotten very excited because they're like, oh my god, Elon Musk is retweeting Ron Paul, and he seems to be behind the idea of auditing the Fed, which is something that libertarians have wanted to happen for
Ever.
decades now. Yeah, forever. Okay. That is, yeah, we do want that to happen, but a lot of people seem to be fundamentally misunderstanding what is meant by end the Fed. Yes, we want the Fed ended because the Fed is, as of this current time period, the central bank that exists. However, it's not a matter of simply ending the Fed. What we are trying to do here is end the state money monopoly and the centralized fractional reserve banking system entirely. If you eliminate the Fed and just replace it with something similar, you haven't actually solved the problem.
Right.
And what we need is separation of state and currency, and we need real money. What I'm concerned is happening is that Elon, being a wannabe technocrat overlord, he wants to eliminate the Fed so that he can replace it with his own system of centralized digital currency. He said before he wants X to be an everything app with its own currency and its own payment capabilities. I think so eliminating the Fed would serve his purpose. So we want to make sure it's being done for the right reasons.
Yeah, and that's my main problem with this is I think there's a second story people are missing. There's some people, there's three narratives that I see. There's the, what Keith calls the totalitarian, the Democrats and the bureaucrats, the stuff left over from Joe Biden are like, wah, my government job, the IRS, loves you, actually. We just want your help. Like, these people are parasites, legitimately. Then there's the conservatives who are just saying, he's just battling evil. And there's part of me saying, okay, he's doing all this. Some of it is fun to see with the corporate media freaking out. Some of it is good to see that, I hate government agents. Every government agent gone is good.
Yeah.
Is there what is the alt? But I always ask, when someone's being overly nice, like, you have to ask this in sales too. When someone's being overly nice, they have a perfect product, they just want to help you, they're just your buddy, they're doing it for the good of mankind. Do they have an ulterior? What is the ulterior motive? What am I missing here? And the problem is people don't ask that. They're just like, oh, he's cool, he just really wants to help. And I'm not saying part of him doesn't maybe wants some recognition for stuff. But you have to ask, what is the ulterior motive? Is it to align some technocratic things? Who's behind this? Is it Peter Thiel? I can't prove it's Peter. I can't prove it. Any of this, by the way.
Well, he's certainly behind some of it. I proved that already just now.
Is Peter Thiel behind some of the DOGE things? Like, I don't know. Because if he's funding it, he must. Now, I'm not telling people what to believe or what not to believe, because I'm not quite sure where I am on this either. There's also the fact that, in my opinion, even if, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, though. The other thing people are not mentioning is, okay, nobody elected Elon, nobody elected do Fauci, do the U.S. Constitution. Nobody alive agreed to that. Some people swore on it, but we know what Lysander Spooner would say. So to me, the problem is the system.
Right.
G. Edward Griffin made a good point. He's like, we always thought these were bad people, and it was the system that it was bad people, and if we change the bad people, you get good people, and then the system would run better.
Right.
And I'm not going to say you can't get somebody like Thomas Massey or Rand Paul or Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna has some base takes. Heck, Bernie has some base takes once in a while.
Yeah.
Like democratic socialism. And I think libertarian socialism
of course, they're
is better.
better on things like the warfare state. They just suck on economics.
Yeah, but you have to ask the question, what's their ulterior motive? And I think part of it definitely is establishing some kind of technocratic control. And we saw this at the beginning with Larry Ellison says this, Sam Altman says this right up front. That's why I attack these people, because I figure this. The YouTubers are right. Okay, some of this technology. The problem with Ted Kaczynski is I appreciate the enthusiasm, but I also am realistic in that this stuff is not going away. Like, the reason I got into information technology is because I saw, hey, I could have a degree in it. It's something I can do. I'm not particularly, handy with some stuff that Jeremiah is. If you give me power tools, I can use them, but I'm not great. And I admit that. So I found what I was good at. Now, technology is going to be here. I think AI is going to be here. I get Jeremiah doesn't like it, but how can we, if it's going to be here, how can we use it responsibly? And these people are not. They're not making the information public. They're taking your data without consent. And if I really have to guess what Elon's doing, you have to look at patterns. And here's the pattern. Twitter, he's getting data off of you.
Mm-hmm.
DOGE, he's getting data off of you. Neuralink, a way to get data off of your biological information. Tesla, you have to sign in to do updates, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure you have to sign into the Tesla. That's
so
data.
For work and you try to turn your car on and it wants to install updates.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That
It's
sounds
like
really. Why does anyone want one of these stupid things? Anyway, go ahead.
Actually, Aaron in the chat has one, so you can ask.
Of
But
course he does. Yeah, of course he does.
but and I like Aaron, good dude. But
We all like him, but geez.
But here's the thing. Okay, that's another. I don't know how boring gets your data, but I could probably sit there and Jeremy probably knows more about how boring company gets your data. And everything is designed, in my opinion, to somehow, some way pick your data, to get your data. He wants data. And in my opinion, he's probably, in my opinion, there's probably some DARPA stuff and some teal stuff and some, probably something else in the background I don't see. It was funny, people like F. Klaus Schwab, brain chips, no. Technocratic stuff, no. And if I'm an elite, and there are elites, I won't go to the lizard person thing because Jeremiah will yell at me. But
Well, because it's a stupid red herring. Yeah, I think
I think it's metaphor.
There are different factions. There is the Klaus Schwab faction of wannabe technocratic overlords, and then there's the Elon Musk faction of nationalist technocrat overlords.
There you go.
Whose power is limited primarily just to this one country. I mean, he does have not necessarily.
He has stuff everywhere. So if you're an elite, to me, this was kind of my theory with the sticky pokey thing, as people called it.
Just say the COVID jab. We're here. My channel is fine.
The COVID jab. If I'm an elite and I'm like, there were literally people on Twitter at that time saying, I'm not going to get it because Trump put it out. I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it because Trump put it out. Oh, Bowden says it's good. Oh, whoa. My team says it's cool. So if I was an elite and I'm like, hey, these guys aren't liking the Klaus Schwab. Wait, they don't like the Bond villain? No. Who else we got? Oh, how about this cool hip Elon dude? Oh yeah,
He wants to put a chip in your brain, but he's like based. He like
yeah.
he has like he like pumps crypto that's named after a meme. Come on.
Yeah,
He names his government agencies after memes.
Yeah, he's fun. He posts. It's like, hey man, come on, technocratic feudalism can be fun. Why are y'all being down on yourself?
So,
oh, you don't want Klaus Schwab? Hey, Elon thinks it's cool to have airport biometric scanners.
Look, I mean, okay, if it came down to which technocrat was going to be ruling over us, like, okay,
you got to be a hip technocrat.
More, if it was like the WEF types, I think you would have more of a like 1984 style fascism. You'd have.
It is the WEF types.
What was that?
Elon Musk is a WEF type. If he wasn't, he wouldn't have WEF as the CEO of Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, he got Linda Yacker.
I think we do have different warring factions within the technocratic elite class who are vying for control over the population. I think some of them will be more outwardly fascist. You're already seeing elements of this in Europe where you have like extreme restrictions on speech. You have people actually being arrested for saying shit on the internet. And then like over here, like, okay, with someone like Elon in charge, it would be more of a like, okay, it's technically voluntary. You don't have to use the Everything app. However, it's going to get increasingly more difficult to live your life if you're not using it. It's like trying to live your life now without a social security number or credit card or something. Like, okay, it's doable, but you're locked out of a lot of modern conveniences.
Yeah.
But once you do decide like you want to use like your technocratic overlord's ecosystem, then you have to abide by the rules or you risk getting banned from it and locked out of all of your shit.
Exactly. Yeah, like Alex Tibbetts in chat has said multiple good things. First off, he said DOGE is a psyop being perpetrated by the right-wing infotainment complex. The way Musk and DOGE are getting libertarians to treat their every claim as gospel is reminiscent of how the Reagan administration actually increased trust in the state. He also said Spooner is based, and he was like,
fuck yeah.
He was like, don't you understand this stuff is only an issue if Bill Gates does it? Yeah. And also, Liberimer and Jack Lowe are making interesting points as well, because the government is increasing its power right now in both apparently simultaneously Minnesota and New Mexico at the same time. Their Supreme Courts have ruled that your car is a public place and is subject to search no matter what.
Yeah.
Even without probable cause.
Yeah, that's a constitutional violation.
Because I know, like, with like the license plate readers, they were trying to argue, oh, you'll have no reasonable expectation of privacy if you're traveling on a state-owned road. Well, an argument against the state owning all the roads, but yeah, they've already been making that argument
inside the car.
Saying, oh, if you don't have tinted windows, then you don't have any reasonable expectation of privacy. Of course, tinted windows are also banned, and you'll get
inside the car though.
Having those too, but
yeah, inside the car.
So you don't even have to ask cops to have probable cause now?
I don't. I think that might be what's being said. I'm gonna look into it again, but yeah, as far as I'm looking into it, the government is actively increasing their power right now by making the inside of your car a public place.
Yeah, this is the thing that Jason Bassler talks about, which is why we really get along, which is people get their team in and they're like America or team Unity or whatever, build back, eat baby back ribs or hope and change and changing hope, and they're like, woo.
Well, I think that's what's so frustrating, because I guess I just don't understand how gullible people are, or I don't understand how people are being this gullible, but like I think a lot of us who originally came from the left, like we went through this very thing with Obama. Like he got up on stage and he said all the right things. We believed him when he said he was going to end the wars and end Guantanamo Bay, and then he did none of those things and only expanded the power of the state, and that was what woke us up to this type of bullshit. But it's just frustrating seeing people repeat the same mistakes over and over. Like some of us at least learned from that experience. Anyway, go ahead.
Of course, like for multiple things. First off, I never believed Obama, mostly because I was still a little racist. Like,
so for the wrong reasons. You didn't like him, but for the wrong reasons.
I want to say, because the thing is, I'm sort of joking. I was somewhat racist in high school, admittedly. But when I didn't like Obama, it was because, like, at the time he was saying a bunch of shit, but he was also doing some other stuff already on the campaign trail that made me question that. And also, I was into Glenn Beck at the time, and he was
yeah, you were against him because he claimed he was going to end the wars, and you wanted to, like, ramp them up.
Well,
he was a liar, so he did exactly what you would have wanted him to do, but...
Well, no, I mean, not quite. Because the thing is, the thing with Obama was, I was starting to come out of a lot of that, and I was like an anti, war, anti-whatever libertarian, like, through his administration. His administration did a significant amount to convince me of that, but I never supported him to begin with, because what his policies were already the kind of things that a right libertarian would be against, and that was what I was at the time. So I was like, oh, he's socialized medicine, where he's gonna force us onto a worse plan and not let us pick our doctors, and all this fucking propaganda. He's gonna sell us out to China, communism, Mexico, immigration.
Yeah, right. Main talking points. Well, what's funny? What's funny about all this is, a lot of these people say one thing and then switch. And to take it into an interesting route, we see what's going on with Russia and Ukraine right now. Now, to my understanding, I've never used Starlink. I don't really see a point for me to use it. But from my understanding, towards the start of the war, Elon Musk was giving Ukraine Starlink equipment and everything like that. Now he's calling, okay. So Trump in his first term gave Zelensky a weapon. Then Elon, when it started, gave them Starlink, and I don't know if he gave them anything else. But Starlink's a big deal. So he gave him all that. He's like, Starlink, woo, help Ukraine. Now he's like, Zelensky's a dictator. Let's get rid of him. It's like Dave Smith says. Look at who we're funding now. That's who our enemy is. So, okay, wait.
Neo-Nazi militias. 10 years from now, we're going to have all these problems with neo-Nazi militias that we funded in Ukraine, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing to me, is he was like, oh, okay. Just like, Obama was, stop the wars, do all this. Now, Elon, and we're seeing everything. Oh, I'm pro-Ukraine. Now I gave them all this technology. Now I'm anti, and I don't think he gave Russia anything. So it's just switching.
So, like that. So that's one of the points that you could make. But also, like, the other half of it is, like, first off, I also want to backtrack on something. Apparently, New Mexico had that policy already in 2023. So that's why the search results were telling me New Mexico also did it. So I guess it is just Minnesota that just decided that, and New Mexico's just already had this tyranny for a while. But the general gist of it is that, yeah, like, all of this is centrally controlled. DOGE, and the thing about DOGE very specifically, they are bringing people in to these buildings. They are basically invading the buildings, demanding the seizure of their information on hard drives that are now just floating in the ether with that information on it. Your tax information, your medical information, your voting records, your all of that just floating around in some teenager's hard drive. And when Elon Musk hired these people, he was lying on Twitter that people were breaking the law for sharing their names. And no, it's not. It's not breaking the law to share the names of government officials. That's not how the fucking law works. But a bunch of right-oids have no problem with this kind of dishonesty. They have no problem with this kind of lie because it benefits them.
Well, yeah, okay, our information is floating around, but I don't know, I think we'd be more bothered by that if it wasn't already in a million different databases already. It's just at this point, we've kind of given up any semblance of control over our own personal information.
Yeah, but does that mean you want Elon Musk and his, like, teenage cronies to have it?
He already could have had it, though. Like,
Well,
he already could have gotten it from a million other data brokers.
No.
He's just going straight to the source because now he has access. But,
he couldn't have had it,
it's not
like,
something
raw
he
and
didn't
unfiltered like
have.
this,
I
no.
mean, let's be realistic here. Something he didn't already have.
He probably didn't have this level of access, no. And he wants it for a reason. It's because he now has something he didn't have before. If he had it before, he wouldn't have gone in for it.
Well, I mean, to make a big show out of going in and getting it and demonstrating that
And to ask,
it's a power play.
yeah, to ask a weird question. From what I've read, Elon hasn't shut off Starlink to Ukraine either, which is interesting. So it seems like
it was an opportunity to sell his product, I think.
yeah. So it's like I support. This is why people are like, why would you question what he does? Here's an example. Here's a relevant example. I support Ukraine. I'm going to sell them a bunch of stuff. Zelensky's a dictator. To take it all back. Well, why didn't you know that from beginning? It's like, and I get it. Media manipulated people into thinking, oh, you know, the victim here and stuff. But I think if you're a high IQ billionaire, like they're saying, I always wait on news. I don't look, even like I'm waiting on DOGE here. I let things play out for a little bit, then I report stuff. There's some people who grab headlines and are like, like 40 beheaded babies. And I'm like, okay.
Uh-huh.
They're like, it happened. The October 7th was done by a bunch of guys with semi-automatic and automatic machine guns. I'm like, there's no way they can cause that amount. That's literal vehicles doing that amount of damage. That's not. I know what gunshots look like. Oh, Snake Island. I'm like, no.
But
or the Ghost of Kiev. Or
right. But like the thing is, there's already plenty that's confirmed that DOGE did that is wrong, and that having this information is not a good thing for the people. The fact, especially, that it is all like concentrated into one place, and that warrants are now no longer required to access that information in the one place that it is. The fact that
But when were they, though? Like, again, the state already had all of this shit that they can collect without a warrant.
Okay,
like,
so awesome.
Hey, I'm pissed about it too. Like, but the Fourth Amendment has been basically gone for decades now.
It's not a problem then on that.
I'm just trying to avoid panicking over something that like is not actually new, that
but it
is
new.
not exclusive to Elon.
But it is exclusive to Elon. If not, it wouldn't be a problem that Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel and co. are saying, and Trump have like been saying that they have no problem with warrantless FISA searches. It wouldn't have been a problem. It wouldn't have been a problem when Edward Snowden brought up that they got a bunch of our information warrantlessly. Warrants are still a useful defense in quite a variety of instances. And
I agree. I wish that they were still a thing. It's just that they haven't been a thing for a long time.
No, there is still a thing in quite a few in a huge amount of cases. And I would say the majority of cases where people actually do know their rights, they can have like a warrant in the way of quite a bit of tyranny. And in the need to get that warrant, they like have cross-agency subpoenas and like a bunch of things that used to have some level of friction. This tears down that friction. It's not that it's like not new, it's that it's very new to not have like any friction at all between these pieces of information being collected in the same place by the same people for the same people's purposes. And then if that information gets out there, if somehow government organizations get access to that information, they now have a database of so much more comprehensive and interconnected and useful information that's much more granular than it has ever been before. Like they had to guess
they,
in some
they
place.
already have for a long time been using private but heavily state connected entities to collect the information, and then they can get access to it after the fact, and that's how they get around the need for a warrant in the first place. So
Sure, but they had friction before, and there were things in the way of it. The things in the way have been instrumental in keeping certain people out of prison, have been instrumental in keeping people out of certain situations of blackmail, in like getting cases thrown out, and getting a bunch of things like this to happen that have protected the little person from large scale corruption. And they've also been there, like to some extent, in the pursuit of protection of the private person from private actors who would seize that information. And now that information is now in a very centralized and concentrated space, and it is now like in the hands of very inexperienced people who, if anything whoopsied about this information, nobody would like suspect anything of it. They wouldn't think like, oh, these paragons of information security, these fucking awesome forces for like serious candor when it comes to your private information, these titans of intellectual and cybersecurity awareness like big balls. Those people are the people. Those people are the people who will safeguard your information. And it's such a terrible shock to us that this information has gotten out. No, nobody's going to say that.
Yeah, sorry about that big balls guy. He accidentally shared it with some of his Fortnite buddies.
Yeah, and so like that's the thing. Nobody's going to bat an eye if people are like the information got out there. Nobody's and with this lack of friction and with this high level of concentration, it is unprecedented how interconnected this information is now, and how dangerous that is to literally all of us. It's not even like
I don't disagree with you. I guess I was apparently more black-pilled than you are prior to this about any of this being anything new, I guess.
No. Well, it's not a matter of being like more black-pilled. It's a matter of like you were saying that this isn't new when this is manifestly
new. I don't think it, because I don't know. I just assumed that the state already had access to all of this information if they wanted it.
Well, sure, they had access to all of this information, and I wouldn't insist otherwise. But the question is of friction. The question is of how easy it is to access this information in the same place. The question is how fast this information could be connected to other pieces of this information, and how easily these interagency things, because that's one of the things like the NSA and CIA have for a very long time, and various other intelligence organizations have for a very long time been talking about how their interagency communications needed work, and how the fact that there was the Constitution in the way and warrants and shit in the way of certain communications between the agencies prevented them from engaging in certain actions, and prevented certain information from even being admissible in court. The less friction, the better. They're not doing this for nothing. The state, if they could just simply access all of this information as easily as they can now already, would not have done this. They're not stupid. They aren't doing some elaborate thing so that they can then, do the same thing that they could before. They're doing something new now. They're doing something that they couldn't before in reducing the friction, in stealing all of your data, and in putting it in private hands so that it's sort of out of sight, out of mind, sight unseen kind of. It's not in our hands. It's a private company doing it, sort of like Facebook doing it, because DOGE is not a government department. DOGE was never accepted by Congress. DOGE is an illegitimate organization, even according to legal strictures. It's a repackaged version of another thing with some third-party bureaucracy stapled on top of it. And so DOGE in its new form is like doing something that they couldn't before, and that's the reason that like they're doing this, is to streamline it, is to build the platform for the new world order.
Correct. Well, and also here's an example. If you want to get away from government, if it's the libertarian answer to something like, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to have to leave because I have to do a bunch of work for a client,
Yeah.
which will enable me to help you, Jeremy, but and other stuff. But libertarian answer to Social Security is abolish it, pay out the people who have something, or find a way to pay them out over time if they want. Maybe deposit it in their 401k and or IRA or something like that, to give that to them privately. And then what I would say logically is, get rid of, why do I need a number by my name so the government can identify me? I'm a free human being. Shouldn't have to have that. And even if you get rid of that, which is the first huge problem I had with Elon Musk is, I have an old interview with Roger Ver, actually. I can send it. When I was really young, I was like 20. And I talked to him, and I'm a big fan of Roger Ver, the Bitcoin Jesus. He's like, well, it's membership, so, blah, blah, blah. Well, to me, if you opt out of something, the membership no longer exists. If I opt out of something voluntarily, like a game, then it's over. So, to me, Social Security should just be abolished. Not trying to tinker with the code and make it perfect and, find out how we can make things less corrupt, because government exists to predate. So, of course, you will find fraud, abuse, and waste, because it's predicated on that. It's giving a few people in a central organization absolute power. And I think it would happen to the best of us. You put me, Jeremy, and Keith, and just like, here's $10 billion. Only spend it for the good of humanity. Like, well,
yeah,
I see, like,
able to resist the temptation there.
Yeah.
Very,
it's like, see 2 million in humble bundles. Well, I need to play something. Well, I see, like, 5 million in bone broth. Well, I get hungry. Like, what the heck, man? Oh, I see 10 million in ramen noodles or something. It's like, I see this for a house. It's not shocking that, a lot of this happened. Some of the numbers are funny. I laugh at that. But to me, the system is predicated on waste, fraud, lying. Tom Clancy, who I don't even probably align with anymore, although I like his games, it said government's good at wasting money, killing people, and lying. It's not good at much else. And to be fair, other than local governments, I agree. I've never seen a need for it. So that's my thing. My thing is not to try and make a bad system efficient. That's not a good idea. It's literally like saying, well, how much alcohol and bad food can I eat and then work out to be healthy? Well, no, cut that out. Well, no, I'll drink a different type of beer. Oh, I'll change the bread that I'm eating. Oh, I'll eat
10 calories per gram of bread, basically. Yeah,
I'll switch from McDonald's to burger. That's literally what I'm saying. Hey, I eat healthy. I switch from McDonald's to Burger King. Like, whoa, okay, maybe there is a difference between McDonald's and Burger King. Maybe it's a small improvement. Maybe you go home and you cook your tons and tons of food in like seed oils or something. It's probably better than McDonald's. Maybe it's real food. But I'll take some incremental wins. But you have to understand, is this leading to a technocratic state? What is this leading to? Why are they doing it? I always question, I agree with Biggie Smalls. Don't ever trust anybody. Because as good as people can be, or are, and they're good people, what are their motives? And it's very, very rare you have ulterior motives. That's why I like Keith Preston. I'm not like seeing that, or people like Ron Paul. I'm not seeing that they have like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. I want to implement this. I want this system. I want to get rid of this system, this system. I'm not seeing that. Even though I guess you could argue pananarchy is a different system, but
it's not a different system. It's a series of systems.
It's a series of systems, and he doesn't stand to gain from it. It's not like okay, maybe like the Ann Prims give you some good steaks or something, and you get some more community gardens. Well, you do get more freedom. Actually, you get more freedom. So yeah, why not? Why not? And freedom's pretty cool. That's what everybody wants, supposedly, I think. So
Well, so
that's all I got.
in a general response, though, that's
Sure.
the thing we
I'm gonna put.
the, so the thing that we have to understand is, like, where we are is not the final stage. Where we are is not the worst that it can get, and it will always get worse as long as these same actors are behind it. That's the reason I brought up, like, and like I'll cede the floor to Rose fairly quickly. That's the reason that I brought up the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. That's the reason I bring up shit like that, because the same kinds of people that are now praising Elon Musk, sucking his fucking Musk off, like, those people are the same people who previously were so against the Bilderbergs and the globalists and the shit like that. Those people were the people who I used to be able to at least agree with on that. Now, I can't even say Peter Thiel is bad without those people getting their cock in a knot. So, like, I fucking, it's extremely and extremely, like, unsettling, pervasively antagonistically angering for me to hear from these people now that I have to ignore all of the previous connections. When Javier Milei said at the World Economic Forum that you are the real protagonists of this story, I'm supposed to ignore everything that these people have already said about the World Economic Forum and pretend that he didn't just say that they're the good guys. What?
Yeah.
Since when? Since last
That's
year?
narco-capitalism, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
thought the whole thing was that we were not going to live in the pod and we were not going to eat the bugs. Like, that was like the one thing we could agree with all the crazy right wingers on.
Yeah, and I'll make one last point, then I'll book. All right. Well, who is Trump friends with? This doesn't directly correlate to Doge, but I can see this. So I'm in a crypto group, and I can see some stuff that people generally don't see. Who's Trump friends with? Who's the real president of America? Well, I guess Peter Thiel is one of them. But who's another president? And who doesn't? And it's interesting. He said he does not care about it. Everybody's like, most important election. Saw it all over social media. Larry Fink. Larry Fink manages BlackRock, who, to me, that's the real movers and shakers, the transatlantic people. Said he doesn't care who wins. Well, what is BlackRock doing right now? Everybody's like, China shouldn't buy farmland. I'm not a fan of the CCP. They're doing communism wrong, and same with North Korea. But what's Larry Fink and friends doing up at BlackRock? Oh, they're buying single-family homes. Why are they buying single-family homes? They can't live in all of them.
Right.
And this is probably why, like, having a housing co-op is not a bad idea with them dirty commies. I think I'd rather be a dirty commie than a soulless capitalist to, all the people watching out here. Even though I like both, right libertarian, left libertarian, whatever you want to call them. But I still like Rothbard. I still like Friedman. But you got to factor in, well, BlackRock's buying single-family homes. They're buying them so they can rent them to you. So it's not exactly live in the pod, but it's, okay, I want a house. Rent it. Oh, I want music. CDs? No. Stream it. I want games. I'm not hitting on Steam or Jeremiah's game, but stream it. I'm not
Things like heating and air conditioning. Like, they're looking at ways to pump them into your house through some kind of central system, as opposed to you having your own furnace and your own air
Yeah, it's convenient. Oh,
everything is a service, and everything can be cut off if the company decides to stop doing business with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, hey, we have smart laundromats. It's great. Come on, go to the smart laundromats. Get the centralized air. Oh, hey.
We violated our terms, and therefore you can't use your house for 30 days.
Amazon already did that. They locked somebody out of their house because they alleged that person...
Oh, because, like, some idiot thought that the Amazon, like, doorbell was saying racial slurs when it was, like, not even on or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's already, if you RFK says he's going to ban it. I don't really have a strong opinion on this. Angela was joking about it, but Red 40, if you know how that's made, they crush red insects.
I don't think
Well,
that's
my understanding.
No, that's not the one made out of crushed insects. I don't think.
But they're
Red 40.
I might be wrong. I might be wrong on this, but
It's a synthetic compound.
there are
Possibly linked to lowered seizure thresholds, but it's unclear. Yeah.
But I guess the point I'll make then is there's some insect things in some things that are called, and they don't call it like, oh, there's insect legs in your raisins because nobody would eat them. But the FDA has approved traces of so somewhere, some way you are eating the bugs in some way, not like directly, but it's not like I'm going out and like, oh, okay, it's crickets, but that is a thing. So in effect, you don't need Klaus Schwab to do it. You can have Larry Fink buy all the property. You could have Peter Thiel implement the technocratic state, so they can listen to everything and his little who's right behind Elon Musk, by the way. No one talks about him. Larry Ellison, Oracle. Get his little pet, their little pets, Peter Thiel, and his pet, Larry Ellison, to implement a technocratic state on top of that. So now you can't own a home because you can't buy one. And Larry Fink's friends with Trump. So and even if Trump wanted to, I don't think he could stop Larry Fink. I don't think even if Elon and Trump, were like, we'll stop BlackRock, that they don't, their capital's like this much. Like BlackRock effectively has, I think, 11 trillion in holdings. They have more Bitcoin than Satoshi. So, and they cross borders. So BlackRock buys all the houses. Peter Thiel implements the technocratic state and probably uses AI through Larry Ellison and that Stargate project. And don't forget about Sam Altman, who treats his employees so good if you whistle blow, you're gone. Which kudos to Tucker for doing that interview with the whistleblower's mom. I think Tucker Carlson is okay. But then they take little things like, stream everything. Get your heating and air conditioning out. Don't have gas stoves. They didn't like that. Come on, it's patriotic to have an electric stove. Have an EV. Who has those? Hey, Musk is making Teslas more available. He's making the Boring Company. Hey, you can get all your data there. Boom, boom. Hey, Musk, thanks for your help on data extraction. So now they've implemented right. They rent everything. Peter Thiel and them are spying on you. Musk has all your data. Woo! And I'm not blackpilling. I'm just saying. And there's still bugs there, and you're streaming everything. You don't own a whole bunch of stuff physically, and depending on how you argue this, and I don't particularly like the argument. None of us really own property, and I know ANCAPs would say, "What are you talking about, Kareem? You own a house. Jeremiah has a house." But
I think ANCAPs would know this too. You don't actually own anything. The state sees it, don't pay their extortion fees.
Yeah. Chris from It Has to Be Said. It had to be said. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Would say you don't own property because you don't own something like Microsoft, Tesla, like a very big asset. So we don't own any of those. So the only people who can make the decisions are the shareholders. Now, what did Klaus Schwab say he wanted? He wanted shareholder capitalism, which is a nice way of saying totalitarian, techno-feudalism. But you can't call it that because people would catch on. Right. So that's my analysis. Well, and if things went bad, if things went good, then we go in Keith Preston's direction, and it probably comes somewhere in the middle.
And like to your analysis, like the DOGE thing, the DOGE is when it was allegedly saving so much money, the DOGE thing still did not touch 500 billion. It is supposedly at 100 billion because of a bad tracker that basically didn't prove shit, and proved in fact the opposite if somebody actually looked into what the tracker actually tracked. that isn't what it was tracking. It was not tracking 100 billion in savings. But like, even if it was, I wrote this tweet like January 23rd. Trump slashed AI regulations, slashed restrictions on private prisons, gave Oracle and OpenAI $500 billion. Larry Ellison wants an AI surveillance state. Sam Altman appointed NSA Paul Nakasone to the board, all amid new terror threats in cartels. Now Elon Musk is saying we can bomb Mexico because they're a terror threat. Now Trump is co-signing that and supporting this new war on terror in the fucking, like, Central and South America. And now all of these people are directly connected to, Malay, and a bunch of people also in Central and South America. And all of these things are coming to fruition at around the same time as these people are all WEF assets giving speeches at the fucking place. And all of this is happening while Trump is hyper-funding an AI surveillance state, which is the kind of thing Malay has said he wanted, which is the kind of thing the WEF has said he wanted. And Rose has an interesting idea on that I think is worth exploring. And so,
Do I?
yeah, you were talking about what they're actually going to replace the humans in the government.
Well,
with.
I think that's what we were kind of trying to get to a moment ago. Yeah, like,
I'm getting a book though. I
as
apologize.
annoying,
Be well. Thank you.
as enjoyable as it has been to see all these government jobs cut, like, the entire DOGE thing is likely just a backdoor way of introducing the AI surveillance state that you've been talking about for how many years now?
Yeah, right.
It's there in the executive order. Like, there's talk about replacing various government jobs with AI. I think even before Trump was elected to his second term, there was talk about replacing IRS jobs with AI, having it do AI generated audits, which, okay, actual IRS agents are bad enough. Imagine having a fucking AI doing your tax audits.
Exactly.
And DOGE has recently been talking about doing an IRS audit and laying off a bunch of IRS workers, which, again, yeah, it'd be great because we want to see IRS workers lose their job. But if they're just going to replace them with AI, like, is that going to be any better for us? Probably not. Okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Even if it saves us money, like, suppose they lay off a bunch of IRS workers, they're not taking as much money out of our paychecks, but then they have a high-tech AI doing audits, and it catches a lot more, oh, you failed to pay $1,000 5 years ago. Oh, you failed to report this $500 transaction. Like it's not going to save you money in the long run if you have a fucking AI that can catch every little thing you do, every little instance of you not reporting income or not reporting something correctly and then being able to fine you.
Exactly, and like that's the other half, and we'll wrap soon because everybody's fucking tired, especially y'all East Coasters. It is past midnight for you, and thank you for sticking around. But the general gist.
I haven't left by now. Yeah, pretty safe bet I'll stick around.
Yeah. The general gist of it is, like, we're dealing with a new way of streamlining tyranny. And the conservatives that for so long claimed that, because Biden is supporting Ukraine and because these are all Democrat lefty communists, which is fucking stupid. But like, because these people are all that, we're going to say that Ukraine is like an example of tyranny. Well, Ukraine, according to their media ministers, according to their defense, according to everybody affiliated with the Ukrainian government, for years has wanted an AI government. And this was something that I blew the whistle on a long fucking time ago because it was absurd to me that more people weren't like really honing in on this and being like, well, this is bad. This is really fucking bad. But
well, they're a U.S. Proxy state, and they're being used as a testing lab for a lot of military technology.
Right.
So they're a high-tech surveillance state. Yeah. Gee, that's not a preview of what's to come here or anything.
Yeah, and so...
But no, we have to prop up democracy around the world, so...
Yeah, and so, like, with that in mind, like I sort of started to look very deeply into that as just the model. And when I started to realize the reasons, it's because a lot of the people in these conservative spaces also want that here. And because the reason that Ukraine got so much support is because it was a testing ground for a shit ton of the things that they want here. And of course, these people who saw the AI bubble coming because they were the one blowing that shit up, like get faced with this information, they're not going to be like, yo, yeah, you know what, AI governments are bad. They're going to be like, yeah, bitch, it's coming to your place too, bitch.
AI upholds democracy, okay? What, you don't want Putin to win, do you? Putin is anti-AI, so therefore AI, like, that's the level of reasoning we're dealing with in your average political normie.
Yeah, and the worst part is Putin's not even anti-AI. Like, Russia's a surveillance state as well.
Well, of course not, but yeah.
We're dealing with Omni-Russia.
The US needs a convincing enemy that we can make our people afraid of. Then we can just say, oh, he's against all these things that the US wants, so therefore, clearly what we want is good.
The boogeyman effect.
You don't want to be on the side of the evil man, do you?
Yeah.
Who has a government that's effectively the same. They have a, corporate, same corporate hellscape at the end of the day that we live under.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the reason I'm not a Tucker guy, because he's a big, like, he's sort of a mouthpiece for whatever propaganda happens to suit his base. And when he went over there and sucked Putin's cock because their grocery store looked tight, that was just transparent propaganda. And when he was walking around and being like, but everything's so clean and everybody's so white and fit and I'm not racist, fuck you, Tuck. You know?
Well, I mean, okay. Yeah, I saw and I'm like, okay, I mean, it looks about like what we have. Okay, yeah, it's not the shithole that the US likes to pretend it is, but it's not like it's better than what we have too. It's basically what we have here.
And it's like what we have here, but it's also like, I mean, yeah, you're going to have higher levels of fitness if your country is heavily restrictive on the kinds of activities you can do and heavily fascist on a cultural level and would, treat people like shit if they weren't. There's a significant amount of problems there. Like Russia is sort of like one of the examples of fascism made manifest. Ukraine as well. Like all these people, like Israel, these people are examples of what the West wants for the West, and so they have to occasionally like let the pseudo left enable the actual left for a time, so that it seems like everything is getting more progressive and awesome, so that all the progressives show their colors, and so that the people who they want to control give them so many open propaganda points that they can be like, yeah, see all these things that these people do, they're evil. That's why we need to control these people, because they're degenerates. And it's Germany. It's just Germany all over again. And so, like, this is what we're dealing with. We are dealing with the encroachment of a fascist surveillance state under the guise of government efficiency. And
yeah.
Go.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, it just, why do people seem to think that making the state more efficient is the same as shrinking it, okay? That's not the same thing. If you have already a highly oppressive centralized state, you don't necessarily want it to be more efficient. In fact, you actually don't want it to be more efficient. If it's bogged down by bureaucracy and it can't get things done in a timely manner, that's not necessarily a bad thing for the average citizen.
Yeah. And it's like, some of the things they're even making less efficient in that regard. Like, it's like fucking Cody Johnston said in his video about this very subject. If you have a longer line, if you have less employees at the DMV, is that a good thing? No, you still have to go. You're just going to wait longer, and it's going to take longer to get everything done, and you're going to get less of it done in a given day because there's less like manpower to get it done. So you're going to have less efficiency there. You're going to move on to a less efficient day that you can't use to make more money for the economy is going to suffer because of this new bogged down government that has less people that can do shit, and everything is going to come to a slow grinding halt because of this sort of alleged efficiency. So it's not efficiency that they're doing. They're in fact enabling bloat by saying that we're going to fire all of the lower level employees, leave the entrenched bureaucracies, and keep everything, and then we'll also streamline our own personal processes for control and make it harder for you to escape our own personal control nets by, isolating all of your information, isolating as much of the control as we can, isolating as much power to Trump as we can, while he says, he who saves the country breaks no laws, while Elon Musk says that, if like the president is the representative of the people and the president's will is being opposed, you're opposing the will of the people. And it's like, that is so fascist. It's all so fascist. But these people don't care because it's their guys in control and they're stopping the wokes and they're...
Well, we've been hearing this for a long time, the whole will of the people bullshit for whichever party ends up elected.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good way to put a bow on this, because it's already well past the hour and a half. And it was going to be over sooner, but conversation in the beginning sort of brought things to this place. You can feel free to give whatever you think is your best cap and closing statements and any plugs you want to do. You got as much time as you want.
Oh, no, I mean, basically just to, No, I agree with everything. I think this is ultimately just as nice as it is seeing certain government employees lose their jobs. It's going to be a very short-lived enjoyment, and then the other shoe is going to drop, and we're going to start seeing high-tech surveillance systems implemented. We already were told, they wanted to designate the Mexican drug cartels as terrorist groups. This was not a secret, and people were ignoring it. Okay, this is basically combining the drug war with the immigration crisis. There's no way that this is going to end well. This is basically them declaring war on Mexico. So the war on terror is not already bad enough. Okay, war on terror plus war on drugs. Things I think are going to get a lot worse fairly soon. Oh, and also the price of eggs has not come down like we were told it was supposed to. So that's just the icing on the cake, I think.
Yeah.
In any event, you can find me on Twitter at Saint of Liberty. You can find me on the Liberty Test podcast on the Libertarian Party of New York YouTube channel, and you can find me on Facebook.
And for my money, all I'll say, I'll make my closing statement surprisingly short, because normally I go on for 8 hours. I'll just say, recognize that you are being played into the same patterns you claim to oppose in an attempt to divide you from your common person. And this is the kind of divide and conquer tactic they need in order to preserve their power. The only way that they will ever maintain and expand their empires is if people like you, out there, you, who has not liked, shared, and subscribed to this channel, you, who lives in your pod and is doing their bidding, you, who is part of their new rent state with increasing cost of living, decreasing wages, decreasing capabilities and mobilities, you, the soon-to-be pet on your $5,000 check that was cut to you so that you wouldn't rebel and resist against this structure, you and your fucking serfdom. They need you to hate other people like you. They need you pointed at each other. They need you fighting a minority and angry at DEI and the wokes, so that you never acknowledge that this is the same exact pattern of behavior that you claim to oppose under the Biden administration and various other places that you've called tyrants. You need to understand that you are being played, that these people are part of long entrenched old money, blood money, millennia old approaches to your enslavement, and that if you trust these people with your efficiency, with your freedom, with your life, you will never smash the fucking state.